First of all, the important to mention that some of the guests we had on yesterday in talking about what Bush was saying about Iran suggested that in sending the carrier into the area and the Patriot missiles, and of course there's no question this is also true, that is very typical, grandstanding and showing strength to Iran. It doesn't mean that we're going to use them. Obviously, as we know from many times, the normal standards don't apply. And as we talked about with Richard Wolff from Newsweek yesterday, he described it as saber rattling. And George Bush is the kind of guy who rattles his saber and says, "This is great. I got a saber in my hand. Why don't I cut the guy I'm showing it to?" So he's like, "This rattling saber, this thing's sharp, whap," and then he cuts off a guy's hand. He's like, "No, it's better than rattling. Now the guy's got no hand."
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Look, in my experience with the mainstream media, in our experience here at the Young Turks and talking to them, as far as getting the information, they're incredibly on the ball. As far as extrapolating from that, they're very reluctant to do it for probably very good reasons. But the one fault I have I have probably a number of faults, but the one fault of the people that we have on the show who we trust and who we think do a good job in bringing us information is that they're not willing to believe that George Bush is as crazy as he acts. Not as I think he is, but as he acts, as he's already done, as he's already shown over and over. So when we say, look, he's crazy enough to attack Iran, they think, no, nobody could be crazy enough to attack Iran. He must just be threatening. But what do we find out right after the speech? No, he's not threatening. He's not kidding. He's going to do what he's always done, which is the craziest possible thing. And so they go and take down this Iranian building, whatever it is, and you think that came an hour after the speech and it was a coincidence? No, he's sending a message and he's taking action.
I understand, but going into right now, by the way, according to this is a reading from a story posted just a few minutes ago from the Chicago Tribune, but posted from the New York Times news service. U.S. troops backed by attack helicopters and armored vehicles raided an Iranian diplomatic office. So a diplomatic office before dawn Thursday detained as many as 6 of the Iranians working inside. Second surprise seizure of Iranians by the American military in Iraq in recent weeks came a day after President Bush bluntly warned Iran to quit meddling in Iraqi affairs. Now, I would still say, though, Cenk, and I agree with your analysis of the media and their hesitation, but of course nobody knows what the president's going to do, and we've had reports in the past of, obviously there are some plans to attack Iran. They exist. There's no disputing that. But raiding a diplomatic Iranian office in northern Iraq, some would also describe as saber rattling, serious saber rattling. But nonetheless, it's not. Obviously, we know full well that this administration doesn't feel like they need to be instigated in any way to attack. This is obviously short of attacking. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's in fact a terrible thing and heavily criticized by Kurdish leaders in Iraq who are demanding that the Iranians be released.
I read in an earlier story, it got so bad that when the U.S. soldiers went in there, Kurdish soldiers started pointing their weapons at the U.S. soldiers, and they were in a bit of a standoff for a while. I mean, when you got the Kurds against you, how badly have you bungled Iraq? We never had the Kurds against us in any way, shape, or form before. And by the way, a diplomatic building, please.
Diplomatic office.
The clearest. Yeah, a diplomatic office. That's the clearest euphemism I've ever heard for consulate.
Maybe.
What else is a diplomatic office but a consulate?
I simply don't know the answer to that. I mean, those are Iranian diplomats working in northern Iraq, and I don't know what there might be a consulate somewhere else. I mean, they're of course.
Sure, it's kind of like when the Iranians took our hostages. They're like, no, that wasn't your embassy. That was just in a diplomatic office you had.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the fact is, we denied that it was we denied that they were working for that it was anything diplomatic. We said they were just regular people initially. Obviously, that part was not true. It's been denounced in Tehran, not surprisingly, and again, it was about 100 Kurdish troops surrounding the American armored vehicles for about 2 hours there in northern Iraq in Erbil, and the Kurds, of course, they're better than the British when it comes to American allies in Iraq. They're not, by the way, because they're not pulling out.
Ben and Jill, I mean, the Kurds are our best allies in the region. When they're surrounding us, because we're that nuts. I mean, how do you get more nuts than that? That's why I get frustrated when people tell me, oh, no, he won't do something as crazy as attacking Iran. Of course he will. Of course. Look, so I've never on this show, Ben and I were talking about this during one of the breaks yesterday, I've never on this show said that they will definitely attack Iran. I've always been concerned that they might attack Iran. But I'm going to say, given Bush's speech, given his actions, given what they did at the diplomatic office in Iran, I've just taken it from possible attack on Iran to, at this point, probable attack on Iran.
I think that I don't think. I mean, you can say it. I can't stop you. We simply do not know. What we know is that.
I mean, Ben, but we never know anything.
No, I know, and that's why we don't go around predicting war when we don't know. But what we do know is that the rhetoric has been stepped up, and tensions have now increased, perhaps dramatically. In late December, real quick, we got to hit a break here. Late December, American military detained a number of Iranians in Baghdad, including 2 diplomats and 2 senior Iranian military officials. The diplomats were released. The Iranian military officials were forced to leave Iraq under suspicion. They've been working for Shiite militias. So something moderately similar already happened in December. But this one is still going on and had the added effect of having us with a standoff with the Kurds.